Good morning, this is Clay from Popel's Backyard Farm. Babies are now 2 weeks old. I just wanted to show you the design of the cage and how it's keeping them in. From the floor up in the doorway, I've got a 5-inch height, so when they walk by it, as you can see, they still think they're inside the cage. And I've got the door open so that makes it, they stay in good and easier access for changing food and water. And you might see some of them fly up, but they're not flying up where they're hitting their head on the roof of the cage like people think that they fly up and break their neck. They don't. They're lucky if they fly up a good 8-10 inches. And that's because they're exercising their legs and their wings. I haven't lost any. And there's a couple of different sizes in here. You've got some bigger quail and you've got some smaller quail that were hatched out later. Right there's a prime example. There's one of the late hatch and standing right next to the ones that are like 2 or 3 days older than him. But they all went in the incubator at the same time, so all the eggs are the same. And I just wanted to show you. There's 64 or 65 quail in here. It's 5 feet long and 2 foot wide and 2 feet high, and there's plenty of room for them. Because some will be sleeping, some will be eating, some will be drinking, and the other ones just seem to be doing the same thing on the other end of the cage. They eat when they're hungry, they drink when they're thirsty, and they sleep when they're tired. It's good to see them that they're growing so well. Won't be long, in another 4 or 5 weeks they'll be laying eggs. It's hard to believe, but that's what's going to happen. And they're pretty friendly. You can see I got my hand down here, and they're not running away or flying and smacking their heads into the top of the cage. And these guys are only 2 weeks old, so it shows you how fast they get used to being next to people. You might see 1 or 2 jump up, but you're not going to see them jump up that high. Like I said, they're just exercising their wings and their legs. As they get older, they won't even bother to flap their wings in that because they're too heavy to fly like a regular bird. They just use it to exercise. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and I hope that you'll someday think about raising quail. But if you're going to raise quail, do it for the right reason, whether you're going to eat them or whether you're just going to have them for pets. Because if you're going to have them for pets, you don't want this many. You only want maybe 4 or 5. If you want them to eat, by all means, raise up a bunch, just like this. I'm going to change the, you can see they're walking on the wire, but the manure's falling down through. I'm going to have to add a little bit of maybe some scented cat litter to, for any smells or whatever. But they're not walking into the manure. And I made the door high enough so that when I take the feed and waters out, I don't have to tip anything. I'm going to make up some better feeders so that they don't waste so much, because what they do is they put their head in there and then they throw their head back and forth and the food goes everywhere. And when I get those made for them, you'll be able to see how I designed those too. Be a lot less waste. But they're not wasting the food falling down through, I put a tray underneath it so it catches anything they throw out of the feeder, and the other ones they'll still pick at this food in the tray, so that nothing's going to waste. And when I change the feed in here, I take this food and put it into a little container, and what they haven't ate, or if it's got any droppings or anything mixed with it, I'll just give that to the chickens. Chickens will eat anything. Pick through it. Oh, they're all quiet and going to take their naps. And that's sweet. See, they eat, drink, get their fill, then they all get their naps. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's a noisy one. That'll probably end up being a rooster. The noisy ones usually are roosters. And as they get older, you'll hear their voices will change, and it'll sound like a wild bird. And that, if you can't raise chickens in your area, you can raise quail and rabbits. Because the quail, people don't even know you have quail. And you can raise these in your garage if you want. And when I take and put them in the other, I have a 3-tier breeding cage, but I just use it for grow outs. And I use my big long cage in the barn for my breeders. And that is 10 feet long by 2 by 2 out there too. But I won't have all these birds as my breeders. Some of these are going to go into the freezer, and I'll keep about 20 to 25 hens and probably about 4 or 5 roosters, and they'll be my breeding stock. But they won't be going out there for another couple of weeks. These guys, if the temperature warms up outside, they'll be going in the garage in the other grow-out pen. Okay, this is going to wrap this one up, and I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, big or small, you too can be a backyard farm. Bye-bye.